Hey Watchers, Brandon here, and welcome back to the Sunday Movie Club. Today's episode is going to be just a little bit shorter than usual, but it's a very special one and the first of its kind. We're releasing the Q&A portion from the premiere of Shepherds of Fire, a short documentary from A to Z Productions about what firefighters go through on a daily basis and the struggles to cope with what they experience. On March 24th, Matt and I were invited to the SIE Film Center in Denver for the premiere of Shepherds of Fire, and I had the pleasure of hosting the Q&A with the filmmakers afterwards, and I'm very excited for you to hear it. I am a little bit embarrassed with myself. When I get nervous, I talk a bit too quickly, so my questions came out a little bit rushed. So unfortunately, that's not an effect I put on myself in post, even though it might sound like it. Regardless, I hope you enjoy the insights from the filmmakers, and if you'd like to see the film for yourself, visit indiegogo.com/project/shepherds-of-fire to donate. We'll put a link in the show notes for everyone to visit the campaign, but this closes on May 1st, so don't wait. Lastly, if you'd like to actually see the Q&A, the video's up on YouTube right now. Welcome to everyone who's already watching. Go give us a like and subscribe, pretty please. We're working to get more episodes on the channel, and it's another way for you to interact with us directly. Plus, you actually get to see our faces. Kind of. Alright, enjoy. Alright, let's give it up for Shepherds of Fire. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to the premiere of A to Z Productions' latest documentary. My name is Brandon Elliott. I host a podcast called What We Watched. I have the honor of being joined today by the filmmakers. I've got director Luke Antonio. I've got our producer Nahla Zenati. And I've got our editor Preston Tompkins. Guys, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That was quite the emotional journey we went on, so thank you for sharing that with us. I know this is a very personal subject. So, Luke, what inspired you to make this film? Was there a specific moment that made you want to explore this world?
There is one man who inspired me in my entire life, and that is my grandfather.
All right.
I grew up listening to his stories, as I said in the movie, and, I just wanted to make something that honored him and that could talk about an issue that isn't talked about very often. I do remember one specific story that he told me that really stuck out to me before I made this was it took place at a train station, and there was this guy that was stuck between two rail cars, and they were talking to him and they were trying to get him unstuck. And they're talking to him, and they pull the cars apart, and all the insides kind of just fall out. And I just realized in that moment that, this is deep, dark stuff that a human being is witnessing, and there has to be some side effects to it.
Yeah. So how long have you all been working on this project?
Well, we started it in the fall of 2018, and it's been on and off basically for a few years after that until now.
Yeah, so in 2019, when I graduated from film school, I made a post like, hey, I'm looking to beef up my editing reel. Anybody have anything? And I had worked with Luke and Nahla in film school on my senior project, Last of the Manticores, a short film. And they're like, yeah, do you want to edit this documentary? I'm like, hell yeah. And then 2 months later, the world shut down. And, COVID hit, and I was stuck in my little one-bedroom apartment with my girlfriend and cat. And, dealing with the hard times of what everybody else was going through, we started working on this. And we had a first cut, but I think we both felt that it wasn't like where it needed to be. So we just took some time to really break down all the footage and edit even further. We've had a couple different cuts. We had a 45-minute cut, we had a 35-minute cut, and I think we finally found the sweet spot of 30 minutes over the past couple of years. So,
yeah, we were trying to decide if we wanted this thing to be a feature or not.
Yep. That was the hard part.
But there's hours and hours. Do you know how many hours we have of footage?
At the very least, we have about 22 hours of
Yeah.
footage. Yeah.
So 22 hours of footage, and you're trying to decide what to cut and how much to cut, and the process is just gonna take forever to get through 22 hours alone, and then just dwindling it down. And then we had to take breaks for COVID, for my grandmother's passing, for
I had
our
a few funerals myself, so it was
our
crazy
own
time.
personal lives, and so about 5.5 years
Yeah.
from initiation to now.
Wow,
Yeah.
quite the journey.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned some extra footage. I mean, I'm sure, like you said, 22 hours, that's a lot. So, Preston, how do you decide what gets cut with such a personal story?
Yeah. So when I started this project, and what I've learned with every project that I've edited on, I watch all the footage first, one time, just raw footage, don't even take any notes, and then I watch it a second time and take a bunch of notes. And what I did on those two viewings was what evoked the most emotional reaction from myself, because I was not on set with them filming, so I was going in completely blind on this project. So I was also an audience member at that point, so I was like, what is going to get whatever gets a reaction from me personally is more likely going to get a reaction from the audience as well. So that's kind of where I picked the spots.
You watched 44 hours.
Yes, I did. Again,
Almost as
COVID.
long as One Piece.
Almost as long as one Piece. When you don't have a job and the world's ending, you have a lot of time to watch stuff. So,
What a trooper.
yeah.
So I'm sure when you set out to make this, you kind of had an idea of what direction you wanted this film to go. At what point did you realize this film wanted to be something else, or did this turn out exactly how you wanted it to?
Well, when I first came up with the idea, I was going to do this parallel storyline between my grandfather's retired life, and I had a friend who was entering firefighting at that time, and I wanted to kind of parallel the mindsets of someone who is retired versus somebody just going into it, and what kind of the differences. The training for firefighting is intensive, and he couldn't do it, so we kind of shifted at that point from that to just mostly focusing on my grandpa, and but then getting people like the Hawk Springs volunteer firefighters, and getting more of the wildland firefighters point of view in there. So it worked out, I think.
Gotcha. Nice. So whose idea was it to go and visit some of the old locations that Jim used to fight fires at, specifically the building where Jim's partner passed away in?
I mean, I think that was kind of the plan all along. Was we wanted to hear stories, and then we wanted to visually tell the story, and we were going to go as far as visually as to include animation in there, but we kind of wanted to just focus more on the grounded human elements, which I think worked out. But going along on the ride with him was kind of just always the plan. Show the audience what he saw, through his eyes.
Yeah, there was a lot to take in. I mean, this was obviously a very, difficult subject matter. And this film probes deep into the psyche of current and former firefighters. So was everyone kind of open and receptive to what you were asking? Or did it take a little bit extra coaxing to have people feel comfortable talking about their experiences?
Well, I was just going to say that firefighters love to talk. So it wasn't too hard to really get them to open up about their experiences. They do love what they do. And so I think also part of it is kind of a coping mechanism for kind of dealing with all the stuff they deal with, is to talk so openly about it.
Of course, you want to provide a safe and secure environment when you're filming, though, because adding a camera is different than talking just person to person. So you kind of start with easier questions, and then you work your way up to some of the more difficult questions, some of the more personal stuff, and that gets them, that makes them feel safe and gains their trust.
Awesome. I think personally one of the coolest parts was seeing the plaques commemorating Jim and his brigade for their service. So who noticed that? Was it one of you guys, or was it somebody at the station?
That was me.
That was not.
I have always loved firefighting, ever since I was a kid, I did want to be a firefighter at one point in my life. So I loved the chance to get to go to an actual fire station. So when we were there, I just had all the opportunity to look around and see all the cool little details that they have that kind of make their fire station special. And I saw the plaques and I started reading them, and I realized that one of them, actually two of them, were for Jim. So I was like, hey, I think this is important.
Yeah, that was a pretty great inclusion.
When I was watching the footage and found that, I was like, thank God, that is amazing. That is a perfect point. As an editor, I was like, you can't pay for a shot like that. Like, that was just beautiful. So I was really excited about that.
That's awesome that it was unplanned because it feels like it was placed there.
I was like, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I also love the section where various current firefighters basically downplayed their efforts, with basically everyone saying that they don't want to be regarded as heroes. So, do you guys consider firefighters heroes?
So one thing I forgot to mention, my brother is he's 31. He's a retired EMT firefighter. He had to retire because of his issues with PTSD, and I finally got him to watch this. And my mom asked him, and this is quote, "Shit, I'm not a hero," and like that's just how strong they feel about that. So to us, my brother's a hero, but I don't think I can ever like convince him that he is. So personally, I do, but I know I'll never cross that boundary with him.
I personally think firefighters are one of the closest things we have to actual superheroes, because that's what superheroes do. They kind of save people, and they help. You have these like larger than life scenarios with these natural disasters, and so who are the ones that go in? It's usually these superheroes, the ones who are not only able to, but also have the willingness to. So I do think they're heroes, and I love them for that.
When I came up with that question, I didn't know what they'd say. And they're just the most humble people in the world. And, so is my grandfather. And to me, he's not only a hero for the city, but he's a hero for his family.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it takes real courage to run into a situation where people are running out of. So, yeah. What's the number one thing that you want people to take away after watching this film?
We mostly just want to raise awareness around a subject that is not talked about enough and undervalued in our society in general. And the amount of stuff that firefighters have to endure, it's just mind-blowing. And so to raise awareness and hopefully make an impact with that awareness and having more of these foundations and more people contributing to these foundations would mean all the world to people that risk their lives for us every day.
Nahla, do you have anything to add?
Yes. I was just going to add that firefighting is, I feel like, a very global profession. Everywhere I go, usually every country I go to, there is some form of firefighting. And it, much like PTSD, it's also kind of a global problem. So anything that, to echo what Luke said, to raise awareness for it, especially in this specific niche of it, with firefighters everywhere, I think anyone from any part of the world who has to deal with these kind of situations does find themselves with these mental problems. And it's just important to know that they're not alone and that there are resources available. And just to kind of thank a firefighter the next time you see one, because they go through a lot.
Yeah, and also for family members, after I showed this to my mom, she felt like she had a better understanding on how to talk to my brother. So, and she didn't really know how to talk to my brother about what he'd been through before watching this. So also for family members on how to even just talk to your friends and family about what they go through.
All right, last question, and I know it's one we've all kind of been asking ourselves. Luke, did you finish your hike in time when you were doing your training?
Not even close.
I almost fought to keep that whole, because they have footage of the whole thing, and I was like, this is just beautiful. I almost made that the entire credit sequence. But yeah, the Hawk Springs Fire Department, they are amazing people. So that was a very hard section to cut out bits and pieces from. So yeah.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so very much. Really appreciate that. Let's hear one more time for Shepherds of Fire. All right, and before we break, I know we have a special presentation. Jim? Could you grab that poster in the end?
Grandpa, if you want to, do you want to stand up for a second? We got you your very own Shepherds of Fire poster signed by the crew. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all you did and all you do. You're a wonderful, amazing person.
Thank you, Jim. All right. And if anybody wants to donate, there's a QR code on the slide that'll take you to the Indiegogo campaign for this film to help the filmmakers get this seen and raise awareness for firefighters across the country.
Or if it doesn't come up, it's literally just indiegogo.com/projects/shepherds of fire with dashes. It'll pop up at some point, but just in case it doesn't.
All right, thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, I believe these guys will be out in the lobby for any Q&A or anything else you want to mention. But thank you so much for stopping by. Get home safe and have a great one.
Thank you all so
Thank
much
you.
for coming. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all.